So what is the best plier you should have? Folks, welcome to a channel, and usually the answer for those of us in survival and preparedness, we usually think of multi-tools. Whenever we think of pliers, multi-tools is usually what comes to mind, mostly because of the massive advantage of this being in your pocket all day long. And as you know, the tools that you have with you are what you have to deal with whatever situation arises. So this will always beat anything else left home. But having said that, there is a case to make about having quality tools. These are the things you use when you have the option, when you're home, when you can go pick your tool kit, your box, or whatever it is that you keep your tools in. This is more of an emergency use. This is more of a convenience, handy thing that you have with you all day long. And the same goes for some of the tiny little pliers like this one, right? These little Knipex pliers, which are very nice, still very small. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people that don't have any tools at all. They don't have a hammer, they don't have a screwdriver. If they need a screwdriver, they bring a kitchen out of the a knife out of the kitchen. They do something like that because they simply have no tools whatsoever. And I found myself in somewhat of that situation at different times in life, and this is something that surprisingly so got me out of more than one little mess I was in. This is a small toolkit from IKEA, which is super basic. You cannot get more basic than this. And the tools are so-so, nothing too spectacular here, just a hammer and, basic stuff. But this surprised me by being of more quality than expected. So much so that I bought a bunch of these. I think I have 2 or 3 besides this one lying around. I know I keep one in the car just in case. But yeah, you have your basic screwdriver and your hammer. And again, there's a lot of people that don't even have this. Now, ideally, you will have a decent set of tools and of somewhat acceptable quality. One of the things I learned over the years is that quality tools make a big difference. They are a lot more pleasant to use, they will last longer, they will do the job better than the crappy, shitty tools that you have. So, even though this may well be enough, right? A nice screwdriver like this one, this is from Black & Decker, this is a little bit better, right? You have a nice wrench system here, and of course, a set of proper screwdrivers and so on. This is convenient because if you have a bunch of these little bits to change, you usually have the Torx one or the hex or different type of tips, and you adjust this to whatever you need. And when quality is there, the fitting feels different too, and it's really great to use something that gets the job done properly. So this one I like quite a bit. The same goes for pliers. Now this is a plier that I bought, I don't know when, some time back, and it's okay. It's one of your basic alligator pliers. But again, over the years, learning that quality makes a big difference. One of the things that that blew my mind on how different quality is from bad stuff, a good saw. A good saw like this one. Now, this is nothing spectacular, but for me, it was an eye-opener because I had been using pretty shitty saws most of my life. And the thing is, my grandparents, they're all carpenters. They all knew how to work with tools, and I used some of their tools that were actually quite good. The thing is, from different generations and later in my own household, we didn't have good saws, and you usually bought the cheapest stuff that was around and used that. You didn't spend a lot of money on buying a high-quality saw. Now, this one, maybe it's not super fancy, but for me, it made a huge difference. Having used shitty saws most of my life, this one was great. What is so great about it? It just cuts so much better. It is very comfortable, it doesn't fall apart, and these teeth, man, they just rip through whatever. It is like a damn lightsaber. It just cuts wood like you wouldn't imagine. This is great. Now, again, this is nothing weird. It's not super fancy. It's a Stanley Fat Max Heavy Duty. This one is made in France, of all places. So I don't know what it is about it, but it just works great, and it's so much better than shitty saws that you often see from other brands. One thing that I often use all the time, believe it or not, is my Glock knife. This is the one that I use for whatever prying, poking, cutting, smashing business I'm involved in, and it's simply because I don't give a damn. This is a knife that I've been beating the crap out of for a long time. I'm not trying to do a destruction test or anything like that for a YouTube video. No, this is just a tool for me. And I have some of the smaller utilitarian knives like the Hiltafors and so on, but this is something that has a little bit more reach, and it just feels a bit better when I need something like this. But then one of the things I've been into lately is find a good set of pliers, because I had something that had needed to be taken care of that this just wasn't big enough. So I got into this and trying to figure out what's the best size of plier. And it ends up being that for this kind of plier, usually what people will say is 250 centimeter, 25 centimeters, basically 10-inch. 10-inch is usually what people mostly go with as your Goldilocks, not too big, not too small. I still wanted to get something a little bit bigger, and I got these 12-inch ones that give you a little bit more leverage. This is nothing fancy. This is Gedor. This is Austrian, but these are actually made in China, which is kind of a letdown, but still acceptable quality plier and very simple. Now, I also want to get, again, something nice because I know that there's a difference. So for my overall general purpose plier, Knipex. Knipex made in Germany, maybe the best pliers you can buy. And man, are they nice. These are the Cobra model, which you have a button that allows for a little bit of more careful adjustment, which is nice. And they bite into whatever you're going into like you wouldn't believe. There's a massive difference. I say massive difference between this and this. Why quality? Well, yes. And also, this is Alligator, this is Cobra, which I'll mention a little bit later. But it's not just that. It's the quality of how these are manufactured. You can tell. The teeth, I think these are laser cut. They bite into whatever you're holding like you wouldn't believe. A cheaper plier will not have that. It will get rounded or wear or just rip and just not hold as much as this one. These will do a much better job in general. So that's why you probably want to consider getting yourself a nice Knipex. I'll leave the links there below in case you want to buy any of these stuff that I'm talking about here. That's always appreciated because it's from the affiliate of Amazon. Doesn't cost you anything at all extra, and it does help the channel out, so always appreciate if you do use that. But man, I like these a lot. I mean, I knew these were quality because these are fairly popular in the EDC world, but having a proper set of a proper plier like this, it is super enjoyable. One of the things that they mention, Knipex mentions themselves, is that the Cobra system, which is this system, which allows for finer adjustment, is probably a little bit more delicate than your Alligator system. They make both, mind you. If you want to buy Knipex that have the Alligator system, which is this one, this allows for less adjustment, okay? So that's one of the negatives. It doesn't allow as much finer adjustment as this one does, and besides, it's moving. This one stays in that position. You find what you need, and it's gonna be staying there because of that button. So this is a little bit nicer, but the advantage is a little bit more simple, and Knipex themselves mentioned that it's better for the outdoors. So if you're working like in a farm or for the household, but mostly on the outside, this is a lot easier to keep clean and more simple. I mean, whatever mud, dirt, or whatever gets in there, it's a lot easier to clean. This maybe a little bit not so much. So maybe this more for indoors or a little bit for more careful use, right? Just, you know, keeping in mind, I mean, this is still tough as nails and super rugged, but all of this teeth, anything that gets in there, you may want to clean pretty fast and not let it sit there. And whatever you have in there, also keep well lubricated and clean. But man, these are very nice pliers. If you want this version, but with that, yeah, Knipex does that too. Alligator instead of Cobra, they will do it, and it's the same high quality German made tool. Folks, that's basically it. Just happy with my new pliers, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about this specific topic. And again, basic things are better than having nothing, but it's always better to build up a proper box of tools with the real deal stuff that will serve you for a lifetime. See you next video, guys. Take care.